Hey y'all! Well, long-awaited series. Somebody finally drop shipped to me a Wilsenton R300 300B amp for me to review, look through, test on, and see if there's some modifications we can do to make this thing even better. And this is another one of those amps that's gotten rave reviews by the same audiophile dudes that gave the Rysong A50 great reviews, which was a really junky little amplifier before we did the mod series on it. I'm hoping, given how nice the R8 sounded, even though it had some design issues, that this one's better. Don't know though till we get this thing unboxed, get it on the bench, run some tests on it, listen to it for a little bit, look inside, see what we find, all that good stuff. Not sure these other reviewers are doing anything other than just sticking it on the shelf and hooking some speakers up and telling you how holographic it sounds or whatever, you know. And I am a big fan of single-ended amps. I'm a big fan of the 300B tube as well. And so I'm really looking forward to seeing what this thing sounds like. Do some tube rolling. There's all kinds of fun stuff we can do with this, so let's get to unboxing this thing and seeing what's inside. First, going to get my box cutter, cut the tape here, and if it's like the R8, it's probably double boxed, but I'm not sure how they package these. I do think this one came direct from China. This was not one from like Amazon. And so, and here we go. Yes, it is double boxed. So, I don't know about you guys, I had better luck with doing this kind of deal. So, definitely well packaged for the ship over. So, let's look here on the side. Here's all the different voltages, and none of them are marked. Hopefully, they sent a 120 volt one. But we'll see here when we start working on it. Not sure if it's maybe got a sticker on the back of it that'll tell us that it's 120 volt next to the IEC socket, but so let's see what we got inside the box here. We have our generic little don't break the tubes little manual. And I guess the other manuals are inside here too that tell us what we should and shouldn't do. And there's the remote. Looks like a pretty basic one. And yeah, let's go ahead and flip this over to make it a little easier to get out of the box and see what this thing looks like. Toss that over here. Doesn't look like anything else in there. And get this thing flipped back over. Definitely a pretty heavy little amplifier. But most of these tube amps are fairly heavy. And there we are. And now we need to get this plastic covering off the top of it, which I guess they put on here to help protect it in case maybe the box gets wet or protect the paint. Not sure. Let's get this cellophane stuff off they've got holding this on. But yeah, I'm not sure I'm real crazy about this copper colored little meter trim, but maybe there's some more copper colored trim around the tubes or something that will make that make sense. And get all that mess out of our way. And get this cage off. And it's kind of interesting they ship it with the tubes installed. A lot of times these amps, the tubes come separate in the little cage. And these look like your basic PS Vane, probably 300B tubes. They do have it protected for each tube there. Let me go ahead and put this cage over here out of the way. And there's your power cord. And there we go. So let's look here and see what we've got here. Got bias adjuster, and then we have the hump pot adjustment here for the direct heated filaments. Assuming maybe it's got AC heaters. I'm not sure. But who knows? I guess we'll figure that out when we get in there and start checking stuff. Again, it looks like we have probably PS Vane tubes with a Wilsenton logo put on them. And then here we have, again, looks like just some Russian 6H8C tubes, and then another 6SL7. I think they're probably doing the main amplification with that. Maybe using the 6SN7 as a cathode follower. Not sure. Haven't been able to find the schematic for this. And then we got a 274B rectifier tube, a pair of them. Not sure exactly why they're using those tubes. Maybe they just like the way they match the 300B tubes as far as appearance. And I sometimes wonder if a lot of the layout of these amps is just for appearance. They have a pair here to give some symmetry to the layout of the amp to match these two 300B tubes. You know, so it's kind of angled like that. I'm not sure. I guess when we dig into that, we'll figure out why they have these two rectifiers, given that a 300B doesn't need two rectifier tubes. So I'm hoping what they do is they have a split rail power supply where they have each of these rectifier tubes coming off of the power transformer with their own choke and capacitors and filters to then feed each 300B tube separately. But until I open it up inside, I don't know if that's what they're doing or if they have a common choke and they're just paralleling the rectifiers to kind of make it look symmetrical. And a lot of these Chinese manufacturers do kind of lay things out and design them so they look symmetrical more so than for the performance. So again, till I open it up, I'm not sure that's what's going on inside. Again, it's a very pretty looking amp. It's got this really cool metallic kind of blue finish that kind of flips to a dark gray, and then you can see the blue and the light shining on it. So it's a really cool finish. It's got the little copper meter, which I don't know about that. I guess it looks okay, but given that this is the only thing that's that color on the amplifier, it looks kind of strange to me. I think it would have looked better if they just had that silver like the rest of the trim. Again, it comes with a little cage where I guess if you got dog, cats, or kids or something. I mean, some people claim these are like Faraday cages to keep the noise out of the tubes. I've never had any problem with that, so I think it's more just a safety thing to keep, kids or somebody touching the tubes, and if somebody does get burned, they can just say, well, why didn't you have the cage on it? So anyway, that's the unboxing. And again, it's got, let me look at the back of it here. It does have 4, 8, and 16 ohm taps, and then it's got 2 auxiliary ends, a pre-end, which I'm sure, like the R8, just bypasses the volume control, and then it's got a CD in. So I think that's kind of going to be it for this video. Gonna dive into looking at the inside of it on the next video, just to kind of see what the wiring and stuff looks like, see if it's got the issues with the resistors that like the R8 does. Cross our fingers. I'm really not into having to replace all the resistors inside this amp like I had to on the R8. That was a lot of work. and I think I can kind of get an idea of how they've wired things on a casual inspection. One thing you guys can really help me with, if any of y'all have seen a schematic online anywhere, I can't find one. And, you know, it's driving me crazy that doesn't seem to be any schematic available. And when people have written China Hi-Fi and these other places, they're saying the manufacturers ask that we don't release the schematic. Like, what are people going to do? Copy this design and build this thing themselves? That's not going to happen. I don't know why they're doing that. And they know these things are going to need to be serviced, and they're just going to have to get returned if people can't service them because they don't have a schematic. So if you're the manufacturer looking at this, release the schematic, guys, so that we can actually see what you've built, and we're going to reverse engineer this thing anyway and figure out how it's built. So you're not stopping people from doing that because we can physically look at this thing. It's not like a microchip where you got to have an electron microscope to figure it out. So hopefully they'll release a schematic. So we're going to be doing more on this R300. We're going to do really deep dives into this thing and see what this thing's all about. So if you're enjoying this content, please subscribe. Please like the video. Thanks to all you Patreon folks, and especially to viewers like the owner of this amp who sent this thing to me so that I can provide content for you guys. So until the next video, have a nice day.